Welcome everybody back here at Veil of Sound. And I'm very, very happy to also not only welcome our audience back, but also a wonderful musician. I'm very happy to have Will Brooks from dälek once again here on the show. So Will, thanks for joining.
Oh, thank you for having me again, man. Appreciate it.
It's our pleasure as usual, and especially because we have a very, very interesting record to talk about. When you people are watching this as early as December 7th, meaning that 2 days ago, Will has released a new record. We'll come to the record label, which I think is also interesting. But as usual, the first thing here on the Veil of Sound is always the pluck of the day, where I get to pluck a band, a project, and Will gets to pluck a band, a project that he thinks deserves more attention. And I will go back way in time to a band that opened the probably most intense concert I ever went to on 9/11. And the band was the Anti-Pop Consortium.
Yes. Very good. Yeah. Those are my peoples, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and they opened for Radiohead. And as depressive as Radiohead already normally is, this was even more depressing. Or as a friend of mine wrote for a German magazine, this was not a concert, this was mass.
I like that. That's what's up. Yeah, man. They're definitely, the Anti-Pop is like one of those crews that they were doing it for as long as we were, and they were kind of like on I don't think we were either one of us were aware of each other when we were creating but we were still, must have been something in the atmosphere, man, because it was, like the I don't know, like we were pulling from the same ether, man. I mean? So it's like those are my brothers, man. Like they to this day, man, they're still creating amazing stuff, man. So like they yeah. I mean, like I would put like them, us, Techno Animal, Mike Ladd. I'm just thinking from that era, like everyone that was kind of doing like the out there hip hop thing when nobody was doing it. You know what I mean? So it was definitely definitely cool to cross paths with those brothers and to play shows with those brothers and to form friendships that that have lasted to this day, man. So yeah, definitely heavy hitters right there, man.
I was pretty sure that you would like that one. So now you got to pluck something. Project, a band, record.
Ooh. Man, see, I came into this completely unprepared, man. So this is
I know that's the magic of the moment.
Off the top of my head, I mean, like honestly, I would say like at this moment, I think, and he's definitely getting shine, but I think more shine would never hurt is someone like Fatboy Sharif, man. I think Fatboy Sharif is doing really ill stuff, but also just like constant projects, man. Dude's always working. And I feel like the just his storytelling ability and just like the I don't know, his wordplay, man. Like I'm as an MC, I'm a big fan of lyricists like that, and he paints pictures, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also and that's what I always like about hip hop, when it's not trying to be different, but when it's just different because of a person who does it.
Yeah.
So I've already mentioned you 2 days ago released a cool new record, Hayward by dälek. For all those who might not be familiar with a first name, this might be a history lesson, because Charles Hayward is not only one of the longest active drummers that I know of, but also one of those persons who, if you dig into that discography, first of all, you have a lot of stuff to work up to. And when somebody starts in a band like Gong, then you know that you're not in for the average kind of drumming person. So Charles Hayward is definitely one of those, at least for me, innovators when it comes to that.
Absolutely. He's like one of these dudes, man, that I got into this Heat very late. I mean, like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I knew about him when I was 15. That's not
Me neither. Me neither.
but this Heat is like one of these groups that I think, like, to me, like they fall in the category like um bands like Silver Apples, bands like even like Faust to a degree. I mean, like, where it's like these like unsung um bands that were doing music that was way ahead of its time. You know what I mean? And like when my boy put me onto this Heat, I remember listening to the Peel sessions made available, and I remember from the first joint that comes on, I was just like, how is this possible that this was A, that it went under my radar, but B, that they were playing like genres that didn't exist yet. You know what I mean? Like they were playing post punk, post rock.
Before it was
before it was a thing.
Yeah.
And also, like, experimenting with loops, experimenting with, like, it sounds like hip hop to me. You know what I mean? Like, I've said that to Charles, like, where I was like, man, like, what were y'all on that you were just creating this back then? But it's like, it kind of, it's the same thing like the conversations I had like with Faust, so that, like, these dudes were just creating music that they were feeling. They weren't really thinking about, genre or anything. It was just about creating. And I think like groups like that are hugely influential to other musicians and maybe they didn't get the shine or the success that, during their time, but because of what they did, other people started bands and created things. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I always have like utmost respect for musicians like that.
Yeah, they're one of those prime examples of what you just described, a band's band.
Yeah.
A band that if you tap into it, if you get to know it through any kind of big brother, fellow music nerd or whatever, it will have an impression on you. And that was with Gong, that was with This Heat, that was with a lot of other projects that Charles has been working with.
Yeah.
And I also think that there is something in there that is somewhat of a connection also to you. I'm very, very happy that dälek has always been around and that dälek has always been successful. But if we're honest, you're not Jay-Z, you're not crazy Kanye, and that is a good thing.
Not yet.
But you're also one of those bands. One of those. There is a similarity to that.
I mean, I'd be honored to be in the same conversation as bands like that. You know what I mean? And if that's what my career is, which, I'm 50, so I guess this is my career.
Yeah, but the good thing is you look like 28, so don't worry.
No, what I mean is that, like, there's no turning back for me. Like, this is what I do. I mean, like, the way I do it is the way I do it. That's what I meant by that. Like, I'm 50 years old. Like, I know who I am. I'm not searching for myself. Like, I know who I am. But like, I create this music because it's music I want to create. If we're viewed as a band's band, like I think like to me that's a badge of honor. You know what I mean? Like I when we got into this again, like, we wanted to make music that moved us, and like, honestly, like, fame and fortune and all that was never part of the equation for me. For some musicians it is, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to go after it, man. But creating the music that we were creating, me and Octopus, like, we knew that this wasn't going to be pop music. We knew that it wasn't going to be, certified platinum. We understood that. But if you go into it knowing that, it's like you're creating music that's moving you, and if in turn it moves other people, you know what I mean? Like, that, to me, like, that's what it's about for me. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way I define success. So, I mean, if at the end of the day, I could be a This Heat, or I could be a Faust, or I could be a Silver Apples, I'm good with that, man. You know what I mean? If I could be an Anti-Pop Consortium, I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Like, that's.
Would you say that is also somewhat of the kindred spirit between Charles and dälek? That it's not about calculation, it's about this moment, and this moment for me, the artist, not for them, the audience.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. I think we definitely connect on that artist level of just constantly, although I know who I am and Charles knows who he is, we're constantly searching musically. You know what I mean? We're constantly trying to push it and see where else we can go with it and see like what we can create. And the beauty of the collaborations, like especially like stuff like this, like with the time constraint on it and like that kind of pressure on it, is that there's not really any time to think about it. You're creating, and the most important part of it is having trust in the person you're creating with.
Yeah.
So, you know, like we wrote and recorded this record and performed it in the matter of a week. You know what I mean? Like in 10 days. So the only way to make that a project like that work is like to know that the other people involved are going to bring it the way you're going to bring it. So once you have that trust, you can explore and you can create things and not worry about like, you know, is it going to happen? Are we going to make it work? What is it going to sound like? All that falls into place once you have that trust between two people. So I think like both of us coming from that world where the music comes first, and you know what I mean, like it just, I don't know, it just made sense. Like I know, like from the outside, people are like, "Oh wow, that's a really interesting combination. Like, why would that happen?" But to us, it made perfect sense. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about collaborating together for so many years, it just never lined up. Because it was wild, man. Like when I got introduced to This Heat, I'd say within a year, Octopus was like, "Yo, you're not gonna believe this, but this project I'm working on, they have Charles Hayward from This Heat coming in to record drums." So he came to our studio in Union City, and I remember like meeting him, and like my whole crew be bugging because I had been playing them to This Heat records, and then all of a sudden the drummers in our studio, we were like, "Yo, like what are the odds of that?" And then we hit it off with him. Like he walked into my DJ at the time, like backspinning like This Heat records. You know what I mean? I think it was either Deceit or it was the one with the looped like almost like breakbeat repeat. So he walks into like to my boy like backspinning that, and he was just like what universe did I walk into like where these hip hop cats like know who I am? And then we just kind of hit it off. And after that, we did a tour together where he was doing a solo project, and he basically he opened up for Dialect. Like he was support. But it was such a dope like string of shows, and we rode in the van together, so we really got to compensate and like kind of like learn about each other. And from that point, we were talking about working on something together, but it just never materialized just because of timing and all that. So when this finally happened, like it was a long time in the works. You know what I mean? Like this is something that we wanted to do for a while. So yeah, I mean, like I think there's definitely a kindred spirit thing, um, a mutual respect, and like I say, it's like it's weird, man. Like my life has been bizarre because it's like I consider Charles a good friend, but I'm also a fan of his, and I think it'll remain that. You know what I mean? Like we can work together, but at the same time, I'm still a fan of his work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm very sure you would say the same thing, vice versa. You've already mentioned the time constraint that the origins of these tracks were recorded in. Maybe we should clue that up a little bit. There is an institution, for lack of a better word, that is called Some Are Better. And every once in a while, I think maybe once or twice a year, they have what they call the residency, and where they either bring in solo artists or where they bring together different collaboration partners. It reminded me a little bit, and I'm very sure you know that, of that Dutch series from the 2000s in the Fish Tank,
I
who
don't know that
also, for
series.
example, worked with ISIS and Areogram.
Ah, okay. Nice, yeah.
And so the idea behind it is to bring people together who are not only great musicians, but who also seemingly maybe sometimes come from different worlds. But then they end up creating something that's much bigger than the sum of its parts. Can you maybe explain a little bit how it happened? I know that it was in 2023, but how did then the whole thing set off for this particular collaboration?
As far as like how it happened, as far as like the organization. So
Yeah.
we played independently. We had played like a festival, a Fat Out Festival in Salford, England at Islington Mills, and Emma, who's like one of the people in charge of that, also is part of Semberta. So she kind of overheard us and Charles like talking one time because we had played I think we played the festival together one year, like where separate acts, but we were both there. So like we were again like talking about like, yo, we gotta work together, man. We gotta make this happen. And she was like, "Oh, you guys want?" She kind of overheard it. Was like, "Oh, you guys want to collaborate on something?" Like we were like, "Yeah, like we've been talking about a lot." So she was down from then, and then started putting the things into the works, and it was gonna happen. Um, this was like, man, like 20 when we were talking, it was probably like 2017, 2018. And then it was gonna happen like 29. Maybe we were talking like 2019, like that era. But long story short, like everything else, pandemic hits, and like it was like everything was set to go. Pandemic hits, and it's like, all right, it's not happening again. You know what I mean? So it was like back to square one. But then after, I guess like once like at the tail end of the pandemic, when things started opening up again, she contacted us again and was like, I really want to make this happen. I think we could really put this together. So we were like, yeah, like let's. It was almost like perfect because like both neither one of our touring schedules had picked up at that point yet. Everything was kind of just reopening, so we were able to like schedule it and make it happen. So then basically, once we had the dates involved, it ended up being 2023. We came out there. So again, like it's like like I feel like it's almost like we cheated a little bit because like we already, even though we never really talked about what we would do necessarily, we knew we wanted to work together. So like when it all kind of came together, we were ready for it. You know what I mean? We did go into it kind of not blindly, but it was just with that understanding, like it was going to be me and him. Originally, like the way we worked it, like I was, for most of the project, I was working. I'd say like 90% of what I was doing was off of this program called Sampler. It's SAMPLR on the iPad, which basically like the way I use it, it's almost a granular synthesis where I'm playing the waveform and kind of finding small little loops and sounds like within the sound and affecting that, going through SV404 using the effects on that. That was like the bulk of the like melody, sonics, like outside of the drums, like most of the sound came from the iPad in that fashion. So I was literally playing along with like me and Charles playing off of each other because of that. And then like he was doing some of like the low end bass stuff coming off of a synth that he had. And I was doing some drones also off of the 404. But because of that, initially the project in its original conception was mostly instrumental because I'm not that talented. I can't rhyme and play music at the same time. I'm not coordinated enough. So when I had to concentrate on music, I would just do that. And then we had one song that ended up on the record, Breathe Slower, that was more programmed. And that was so I could step away from the machines and I could rhyme. And then Charles was doing more like cymbal work and like that kind of stuff on it. When we recorded the project, we recorded the project at University of Salford. Once like we started like recording those like the session, and initially it was just to record in order to prepare to play it live at the festival. That was the idea of the project. But once we got in the studio, we kind of both like we didn't say it, but we both kind of felt like we have something here, man. This is more than just a one-off performance. So we we recorded the songs. We kind of like wrote them first, recorded them, performed it once, and then like after that performance, we were just like, "Yo, like, we should release this, man. We figure out a way to release it." So I brought the files back home. I mixed them here. I didn't do much. Like literally, it was just mixing and mastering that happened on my end. I think there might have been like one overdub, like, where like I fixed like one little thing. But the one thing that I did do is that in listening to it, I was like, man, there was like 3 other tracks that I was like, these are speaking to me, man. Like I hear lyrics on these. Yeah. So without telling Charles, I just recorded the vocals, and then did mixes of the vocal versions and the instrumental versions in case he hated it. So sent him the album and was just kind of like, what do you think? And he was just like, yeah, man. He's like, the songs sound like the way they should sound. So we kind of went with that. And then, with the blessing of the organization, we kept them involved because even with the release of the record, because they were so instrumental in making this happen. So everything kind of, again, fell into place in the sense that for years, both the Relapse had wanted to do something with Dälek as a group, but most of my projects are on Ipecac, so there really wasn't an opportunity for us to work together. And then when I had this project, I was like, this might be a perfect thing to finally do something with Relapse. So I reached out to them, and they had just kind of branched out. They released the reissue of Techno Animal. So then that's what I was thinking. This might be a good time to hit them up. So I was speaking to Kevin Martin, had him send me the info. I contacted them, kind of because we hadn't spoken in a few years. So then told them the idea of the project, sent them the album basically, because at that point it was done. And I remember, I'm gonna blow up their spot a little bit, but I remember I sent it over and my man's was like, oh, give me a weekend or a week and I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. And I, sent him the tracks or whatever. And within a day, he was like, all right. He was like, listen, he's like, I was going to try to play it cool, but he was like, I was ready to do this off jump just because it's Dälek and Charles Hayward. He's like, but after listening to the songs, let's make it happen. So I was like, all right, man. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's been amazing, man. This is my first time working with Relapse, and they've been so accommodating. They've been very, very supportive, but also very excited for the project, which is awesome. And they're, I think they're fans of what we did and fans of us individually and fans of us collectively. And having a team like that behind us has been great, man. It's just been, enthusiasm behind it.
Which is totally understandable because the record, I mean, it's always very, very difficult to put such a record into the whole body of work of an artist like Dälek. But I think this is a side of Dälek that we have not heard so far, and it's very exciting. And it's interesting that you mentioned that the tracks basically were all thought to be instrumental, because with the 3 tracks that you mentioned that are having lyrics, it doesn't feel as if they were added later. But even with these tracks, it feels as if the lyrics were part of the journey all along, which is very interesting.
Right.
We also have to talk a little bit about, I mean, of course, you didn't go into the studio thinking about, okay, we're gonna create a record that sounds ambient. We're gonna create a record that has that kind of genre, because none of Dälek's records have, and in a way, also most of the things that Charles has done are very hard to put into a genre. Was the idea behind this also something like almost anything goes?
Yeah, I mean, I think we both walked into the studio with an open mind. Again, nothing was really planned out. I walked in with ideas. I mean, that we were kind of just playing in the rehearsal room. And off of those, I think really the only thing that we really kept were just kind of these, the sounds, but then not the actual sample. But then I started playing them in other ways and just kind of playing off of Charles' drumming and just let it become what it needed to become. When I say all this, I'm like, man, this sounds like some metaphysical whatever, but I really do believe it. I'm being honest when I'm saying that the songs became what they needed to become. Like what you said about the lyrics, I heard the lyrics in the songs. I didn't write the lyrics to the songs, if that makes sense. That. When I heard the 3 that I ended up putting lyrics to, in my head, I was like, oh no, I hear the lyrics there. This is what it should be. And it wasn't like me trying to force a verse on something. It was just that's the part that's supposed to be there. You know what I mean? And I feel like the whole project felt that way, like where neither me or Charles like went into it expecting, like wanting it to be like, oh, these are the dialect parts and these are the Charles Hayward parts. It was just like, let's just create something. And I think what I love most about the record is there's a lot of songs on there, like you said, that it doesn't sound like dialect at all. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff on it that doesn't sound like Charles Hayward at all. It's just it's this project. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like this record. Obviously, there's always going to be elements. You know, like I tell people, I'm like, whenever I rhyme on something, inevitably it'll be like, oh, that because it's my voice, so it's like it's going to sound like me, of course. You know what I mean? But
and it also does so on the new record.
Right. And Charles also, you know, his drumming style sounds like him. So there's good, you know, the drums are gonna sound like Charles. There's definitely like songs on there where I'm like, wow, that drum part by itself, if it was isolated, does sound like a This Heat part. You know what I mean? But that's only because of our of who's playing the parts. It's just like who we are. It's in our DNA. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the whole of the project it's its own thing. Which I was trying to explain to people when I was like, it's not a dialect record, man. Like I didn't want initially I was even hesitant to put like, you know, the word dialect in it. I was considering just using, you know, Will Brooks because I wanted it to be a separate thing, but you know, I got coerced into using using the dialect name. So I was like, all right, fine. I conceded to that. But at the same time, I didn't want people to walk in expecting a dialect record. There's elements of it that might remind you, but at the same time, it's something else, man. You know,
is that I mean, like we're nitpicking here, but is that also the reason why the record is called Hayward by Dälek, and not Dälek by Hayward?
I don't know. I deferred to having Hayward first, just because to me the drums is central to everything. So like without his drumming, there is no album. You know what I mean? Like I really feel like because his drums dictated what I did, sonically. So like without where he went with the drums, like I basically let him lead me with the drums to like where we were going musically. So in my mind, you know, Hayward X Dialect is what it needed to be. You know what I mean?
That's also something that I wanted to ask. So you say that basically the leading instrument in this one were the drums, and that's now in a way that might be one of the most traditional approaches that you ever had to one of your records, because that essentially is what the origins of hip hop were about, the beats.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, like, you know, I have the song Between the Word and the Drums. You know what I mean? Like that to me, that's what hip hop is. It's the relationship between the word and the drums.
Yeah. And then yeah, in a very strange way, it is a very forward thinking record, but the roots of it is very, very, I'm not going to say old fashioned, but it's very, in a way, it is a very traditional thing. And that is something that I like about it, because of course, I mean, like, there are moments when you can hear Charles' drumming style. And while preparing this, I also went back to some of the This Heat records, and you can hear his style.
Yep.
But by contextualizing it with your additions to it, it becomes something very, very different. This is not the first collaboration that you did. You've worked with Faust, with Young Gods, Techno Animals, so there are lots of them. Are these also always collaborations that in the end will bring Dälek a little further, that will progress the band itself?
That is always my hope with any time I work with any musician. You know what I mean? Like that's, to me, it's like the more varied of artists that I work with, I'm always looking to what do I learn from this? What do I take in from this? And how do I reinterpret that for my next stuff? You know what I mean? Absolutely. But that also that goes to like I was scoring this podcast Black in the 80s and Black in the 70s. And that experience was amazing as well. Because I'd never scored a podcast. B, I was doing the scoring made like there was like especially the one from the 70s, like, you know, some of it was about hip hop, but some of it was you know, about disco, about being in the club. So I was like creating, you know, like disco based kind of like backing music, and it's like, you know, completely out of my comfort zone. But all that stuff comes back around to influencing, you know, like what I do as a musician. And every time that I've worked like with another artist, like you mentioned, like with Faust or with Techno Animal or you know, like with Aaron Turner, I've worked with a lot of different musicians. Every single one of them I've learned, and it's definitely worked its way back into the dialect stuff. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I love about collaborations like that is you know, you're learning from other musicians, the exchange of ideas, the exchange of energy, and just kind of again like pushing in different directions and figuring out what else we can do. Because like you said, like with like the record, the drums are very central. I think what makes it special, at least to me, and this might not be something that people pick up on, but it's special to me in the sense that, like I said, the music is electronic, but I'm playing it. You know what I mean? Like that program, I can't like overemphasize like how special the program sampler SAMPLR is, because I'm like tactily playing the waveform and finding like the little pieces that work and kind of repeating these patterns and like volume swells and affecting the sound and pitch, and the little micro movements and changes are happening in real time between me and Charles. It is a band. You know what I mean? It's not hip hop in the sense of programming. It's not the studio work. It really was about just the connection between two musicians, which is very different from what I typically do in dialect. Like dialect is, you know, there are moments of the improvisation like that, but between me and Mike, but it's much more controlled within the parameters of hip hop and sequenced music. So I feel like this was more of a freer thing, as the Faust record was, as the Dualhoff record was with Aaron Turner. So I've done it before, but it's like this was more, again, because there's only two players. Also, it was just me and Charles. It was a much more intimate, much more stripped down. There isn't like layers upon layers of, you know, that can like hide the mistakes that could, you know what I mean? Like,
I know
everything is exposed, everything is there, and it's like you're hearing everything we're doing. And I mean, it's I always tell people like these projects, especially when you have to play them live like right away without really like that, you know, rehearsed. Like we barely rehearsed it, we just kind of did it. It's akin to like walking on a tightrope. You know what I mean? And it's amazing. It's exhilarating, and I love it. But at the same time, it's like, so, you know, it's scary as fuck. It's like you know, you can
if you fuck up, you fuck up.
You could quite easily like ruin the entire show by like one, you know what I mean, like one misstep, and that's it. Like you're fucked. You know what I mean? But there's something amazing about making that work.
Yeah.
It's dope, man. And again, all that goes back to, I would only do that, I would only risk that with other people that I trust. Like you have to trust the people that you're playing with in order to even attempt that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's always a back and forth. If you, as you say, like the little tiny minute differences in sound that you are creating by playing the stuff live, then of course influences his way of playing, which again leads to the vicious circle of you go reacting. There is something, and I hope you don't mind me asking, but when I listened to this record, I'm like always as a journalist trying to come up with labels, I had the feeling as if this was the most breathing dialect record that I have heard in a very long time. Because breathing in the sense of unpredictability and very in the moment. Would you agree that this is, because also of the conception, a very, very different record than the last few records you did?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Again, like I think of the moment is a good way to put it. but also like I was saying earlier, like intimate is another way to put it that I really like about it. There's like I feel like there's like whole passages that just sound like very beautiful to me. You know what I mean? Not that dialect records don't have those moments here and there either, but I feel like, you know, I don't know, that this one felt more surgical, if that makes sense. Like where like dialect is more of a sledgehammer. This is
in a way, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this is more of a scalpel. You know what I mean? So yeah, just again, like it's a different project, you know. And yeah, I mean, like it's funny because we what date does this interview come out at?
7th.
7th. I might be jumping the gun, but I could
jump it. Take a risk. Tell us that you're going to play this in Europe.
I don't know about that yet, but I can tell you that there's another dialect record that might be coming sometime soon.
Ooh!
Pretty much all I can say at this point. But the reason I bring that up is just because I think you'll hear the influences. You know what I mean? Like,
you mean the influences of this collab on the new dialect?
Yeah, just like in the sense of just like, you know, like the influences of things that I've been working on that worked its way back into our, you know, into the main records. So yeah, I mean, like I think that is what these, you know, these collaborations do, man. Like it shapes you as a musician and as a person, man. And you know, like, well, again, you know, like I want to keep pushing what I do musically inside and outside of dialect. You know what I mean? So yeah, this record was mad special being able to do that, man.
And as you say, you want to push stuff. We have to talk about one track on the record. There is one track which is nearly 11 minutes. Sojourn, 10 minutes, 51 seconds. How was that baby conceived? Was it while you were recording already that long, or did you then bring it together into that epic format?
The funny thing is, like all of these songs were created at Islington Mills in a rehearsal room. I wish I had better recordings of those like kind of like writing sessions, because basically it was just like either Charles would start something on the drums and I would just join in, or I would start something like with a drone or with like some melodic little piece and Charles would join in and we would kind of just go. So a lot of these joints we had to pare down because a lot of them were like 12 to 15 minute, just kind of, you know.
Oh, now you're arousing my interest.
But the problem, you know, the thing is, like, you know, we were thinking, we didn't have that long of a slot to play in the festival, so we couldn't, you know, each song couldn't be 15 minutes because we only would have played a couple songs. So then we started, you know, thinking more of like arranging in that sense. So we kind of pared a lot of them down. But there were a few that just sounded right that way. You know what I mean? So I feel like Sojourn was one of them that we just wanted it to be that journey. I'm so bad with titles, man. That's the one that starts with the melodica, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
is a beautiful intro.
That's obviously Charles that started that, and then I started playing like back to that with like playing like the granular synthesis kind of thing, and then off of that, it just kind of built naturally, man. But the thing with that song is that like it needs to be that long, because if anything gets rushed, it sounds cheap. You know what I mean? So like you couldn't go from that melodica intro straight into like where it's heavy as fuck. It needs to build to that. So you have to like give it that runway. Like it had to be. I feel like the length it ended up being is probably like the minimal that it needs to be. It should have been longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, but it just, you know, we didn't do that just for time constraints. But for example, the last song, Re-Evolution, when we played that one live, that was again, like when we recorded that record, we recorded that song, like we were like, yo, this is the closer. Like we knew that from the second we wrote it, we were like, this is the way the album, at that point we didn't know it was an album, but we were like, this is the way that the set closes. And then we played the set, and as soon as like we decided that we were gonna, you know, make this into an album, we were like, that's definitely the closer to the album too. There's no question. The funny thing is when we played that one live, man, that was like one of the dopest things, man. Cause like, yo, Charles, it kept sounding like the song was done, and then Charles would come back in with that drum fill, and the breakbeat he would start the breakbeat again, and the room would just fucking like we had like that whole room just kind of like bugging because it was like just like the rise and fall of like that then he would come back in with the beat, and man, the thing is, man, Charles is a fucking machine. Like it's like that dude played. We played that song live. I want to say like that was a good like because it was like kind of like the last song, and we didn't even do an encore. It was like both in one. He just didn't let it end, and we kind of. I think we might have played it for like that one might have gone for 20 minutes if I'm not mistaken, man. That was wild, but it's like that song needed to be that. You know what I mean? So like that version we ended up recording is a lot shorter than that, but it's still on the longer side of the songs we did on the record. But
yeah, definitely. It's 6 minutes and a bit. Yeah, definitely.
But I mean, some songs just need to be a longer length, man, because you need them to develop in order for the parts to make sense. Otherwise, like I said, it sounds cheap.
Yeah, and I also think that it needs that time because, well, there is nothing to guide us through. So also we as the listener, we have to accept the song's structure, its elongation, its long form, and
I also like a lot of these songs. There's like the kind of like the hypnotic factor. Like you need time to fall into the trance. You know what I mean? Like otherwise it doesn't work. Like you gotta like keep hearing the repetition of it and like the cycles, the different cycles of the different elements for it to kind of get like caught in it. You know what I mean? Like that's.
Did you get into a trance while you were recording it?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And performing it. Performing it was one of the most kind of surreal moments because it was so fresh. You know what I mean? Like most songs, like even if you're playing things live, you get to rehearse it with the bands. You get to practice. You get to make sure what comes next. There was none of that with this project because the time constraint was so short. We kind of just went in with like the framework of the songs, and when we performed them live, they were I like it sounded like the songs, but it didn't. I wouldn't even say it sounded like the album. And I feel like you talked about performing it in Europe, which I do hope we get to do. But I don't think the live show is going to sound 1,000% like the album. I don't think it ever will.
Yeah, and let's be honest. If it did, then it wouldn't need a show.
Yeah, that's always been my feeling, man. I feel like that, like even with the dälek stuff, it's like, yeah, I want the songs to be the songs, but I want the live show to be something else because otherwise, just stay home and listen to the record. You know what I mean? Like, there's no need to come out unless you want to hear it louder, I guess. But other than that, it's like the live show should be something else. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think this inherently just kind of has that baked into it, where it will be something different every time we play it.
Yeah, but that's also and then also the magic of a moment.
Yeah, I mean, like a kind of like a sidebar, but like another project that I've been working with is this trio Mop Cut. I've been doing like a lot of festivals, and I just came off of a tour with them in Europe. I did like 10 shows with them, and they're primarily like an improv trio, and like that has been again another amazing different experience because initially I came in as a vocalist, but because of everything that I did with the Hayward stuff, they wanted me to do more shows, and I was like, I kind of felt guilty only because I would only come out and only do like 3 songs with them. I'm like, let me do more, man. Let me do some let me do some instrumentation, and I basically brought the same setup, like the iPad, the 404, and kind of added like that experimental element like with them, and with them it works in a different way because they're all improvising anyway. So basically it's like all 4 of us kind of playing off of each other. We just did the Guess Who, and it was, man, like that show was beautiful, man, because they had a friend of theirs, a bass player, come up, and he hadn't even played with us once, and came up for that show, and he was so dope, man. It was perfect, like the moments that he dropped the bass like into the mix. So like like that sense of live exploration and live just improv is amazing, man. And I think the catalyst for me of that was from the Charles the Hayward project, because that's kind of like where like those kind of concepts started building for me, like to kind of do more of that,
Yeah, and it opens a kind of a new era for dälek.
Yeah. Again, like the tricky thing is that I'm not Phil Collins. I can't like finger drum and rhyme at the same time.
Don't get me started on the man who ruined my favorite prog rock band.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I have a friend about who had like just really, really like just has a hatred for Phil Collins. I do not. I feel ambivalent.
I have to say, Phil Collins had a very good ear for pop melodies, and that is like amazing what he did in that field. But Genesis was always best when he sat behind the kid and kept his mouth shut.
See, I want to be that era Phil Collins. I want to keep my mouth shut if I'm going to be doing that. But the tricky thing with dälek is that I think I have to pick and choose like where I do like that and leave more of it to Mike Manteca, just because of the nature of it. Because I still have to be the MC. I still have to be, I mean, like in the forefront in that sense of doing the vocals. But we'll figure things out. Maybe there'll be passages where we can kind of incorporate this kind of thing into it. So it's just exciting in that sense, and just it's more more variations and more paintbrushes to use. You know what I mean? Like different colors and different techniques. So I'm definitely excited to see like where it all goes next. You know what I mean?
So as we've already mentioned, you've worked with a lot of people by now. If you could choose one musician alive, who would you choose
to work with?
Yeah, I have one that I would love you to work with on at least one track, but you go first.
Kevin Shields.
Interesting. Mine is in a similar realm. Paul Banks from Interpol.
Oh yeah, I know. You know, it's funny. I know the drummer. I'm not blanking on his name right now. Damn.
Me too.
But we man, you're gonna have to splice in his names. I feel awful that I can't remember right now.
I'm gonna look it up. You go ahead.
But we years ago we talked about working on something together. It just never. Sam is his name. Sam.
Samuel Fogarino.
Yes, Sam Fogarino. We linked up at one point and we talked about working on stuff and kind of exchanged files for a second, and it just life got in the way, never materialized. But every now and then we still reach out, say what's up to each other. But yeah, so it's funny, the circles are not that far apart. For your wish list. I don't know the rest of the band. That I've never met them, but I met Sam. Yeah, good people, man. So it's funny. Yeah, we almost did work on some stuff. Like I'm talking like probably like around 2000, around that time. Mm-hmm. So that's a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, if they hear this, doors always open, man. I'm always down.
Yeah, Union City's always open. Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, yeah, and if Kevin Shields hears this, that would be my choice. But yeah,
that would also be mighty interesting. Yeah, I wish. Basically, I would wish for both of them. Now that I think of it.
Well, we could always form a new supergroup. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but let's not call it a supergroup because most supergroups suck.
Yeah, well, that is true, man. Like, there's never been one that's done anything of note.
Well, maybe that $1 Million Quartet back in the 50s, with Elvis and the others.
I feel like I think you're right. Though. I think you as long as you call it a collaboration, you're good.
Yeah. And then I mean, like, supergroup is really difficult, especially. The problem, I mean, like, think of them Crooked Vultures. You have three people from three amazing bands, all great musicians. Those three people have written such good music, and them Crooked Vultures still never got me. I don't know why. And I think a little bit of that is because of this label, super group. It's just annoying. It's just like,
Well, I think
so much pressure.
Well, I think the label, but I think people don't take into account like the importance of chemistry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if like you put together like 3, 4 super amazing talented musicians.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's like if the chemistry isn't right, if like that, like you still got to write the music and you still got to perform the music, and
Yeah.
like what you've done in the past means absolutely nothing.
No, exactly. You still start from scratch.
Yeah. But I think that's the trick, man. It's like the collaborations that I worked on. That's the way I always walk through the door, like, with that feeling that it's like with that hunger and that passion and trying to build from nothing and create something. It's never like, oh well, I'm in the room with this guy. You know what I mean? Like it's like you still have to do the work. You have to like you have to trust the person, but you have to trust the person to do the work. You know what I mean? Like you still have to find the songs.
Yeah. And as you said, a lot of that happens on a non-musical but very personal level.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
That's just doesn't work the other way around. So, Will, thanks for the insight into the new collaboration. For everybody, the record is out for like 2 days now, so please listen to it with an open ear. And I hope that you also get into that moment that I had while listening to it. I felt as if I was sometimes leaning into a blanket. There were moments when the blanket tried to suffocate me, but most of the time it was very warming, very warming. But however, Will, of course, nobody gets around the Veil of Sound interview without the quickfire round at the end. I listened to our first interview so that I don't have any doubles. And I came up with a little bit of a different approach. Normally, I always give people this AC/DC with Bon Scott versus AC/DC with Brian Johnson kind of stuff, like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, stuff like that. This time, I will give you the best. So I will always give you like, okay, what is the best New York rap club at the moment? Something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so give it a thought always for a moment and then give me the answer. And we'll start off with something that is, of course, also good for your location. The best New York MC, not at the moment, of all time.
Ooh, all time. That's so tough. I'm gonna can only choose one, huh?
Okay, with MCs, let's say 3.
3? Okay, I'm gonna go with 2 classics, 1 relatively current.
Cool.
I would say KRS-One.
I knew that.
I would say Rakim.
Okay.
And I will say Ka.
Okay.
K.A.
Mm-hmm.
Made he recently passed away, but he's like more of a current cat. If you haven't heard Ka, listen to Ka. K.A. Lyrically,
we will put a link beneath this interview so that you can check it out.
Yeah.
And then a different note, but for you, the best New York crew.
Oh wow. Tribe Called Quest.
Oh yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
Mine is a little different, and I know I'm gonna be the stupid white guy, but I'm still gonna say the Beastie Boys. Because I love the way that we were able to transit from one genre to the other.
Yeah. To this day, I think Paul's Boutique is phenomenal, man. That record is phenomenal. I mean, like, there's so many crews too. Because what I should have said is Native Tongues, because that encompasses.
Oh yeah, that's clever.
De La Soul, you know what I mean? Black Sheep, Queen Latifah, Moni Love. I think, I'm gonna change my answer to Native Tongues.
Yeah, that's definitely a clever one. It's like, what is your favorite prog band? Oh, let's say the Canterbury scene. It's like 12 to 15, 20 bands. Yeah. Apart from your own studio, your favorite studio to record in?
Joachim Imler's studio. I don't know if he has a name for it or not, but Joachim Imler from Faust. He has built a recording paradise for himself. And it's not really about the gear or anything. It's just the atmosphere. It is about the gear too, but the atmosphere and just working with him there. I love recording there. We did the Anguish record there, and it was such an amazing time.
Mm-hmm. Your favorite The Roots record?
Oh man. Oh damn.
And I'm gonna pull up the discography so that if you don't know the name, you can also just describe the cover.
Yeah. The thing is that I'm gonna go with the curveball, man. I'm gonna go with the Black Thought solo records. And it's not because the rest of the Roots isn't dope. They are. It's just that the solo shit that Black Thought dropped, you learn that he is one of the illest MCs of all time as well. Currently, he should have been on that first 3 list, but the problem is that there's not enough spaces that you only gave me 3.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Black Thought is absolutely one of the illest MCs alive today. No question about that. And I knew he was dope on the Roots records, but it was solidified and there was no question once you heard the solo joints, man. So I'm blanking on the title of his solo record, but he has like the two solo ones that he dropped like in, was that like, I'm sorry, like 2017, 2015, somewhere around there. I forget what it was. Maybe it was a little later.
I'll look it up for you. So he actually by now has 4 of them. But you're probably talking about the stream of thoughts.
Yeah, the Stream of Thoughts. I mean, Cheat Codes is dope too, but Stream of Thoughts, that series is amazing, man. Like his like lyrically, he's on another level, man. That's yeah. So although mad love to the Roots, man, mad love to, you know what I mean, to the whole camp, but the like their albums are phenomenal, but his solo work, it shined a light on how special he is as an MC.
Yeah, and I have to say that I'm still waiting for a new Roots record. I mean, like I know they're busy with Fallon and stuff, but I mean, like I think the last real record they did was in 2011, 2012, something like that. So it's more than a decade now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it's wild to me. Like the trajectory of their career is amazing to me, man. Because like to see like where they're at, it just you know what I mean. Like I'm so happy for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they have like the financial security, they have the artistic freedom to do what they want to do.
Yeah,
it's good for them, man. Honestly, like we were lucky enough to tour with them a little bit, like early on in our career. We did some support for them, and they actually invited us down to, it was like what, I forget for which album it was for, but they invited us down to their studio. They invited like a bunch of people down to kind of like see if a collaboration would work. I'll be honest, we were there for like one day and like, they looked at us and we looked at them and we were both kind of like, it's not gonna work. Yeah, I mean, like,
but it's still a sense of appreciation, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. It was just the kind of thing like where, like it just wasn't meshing, and that's fine. I mean, it's funny, like I think out of that, it was before we did Abandoned Language.
Mm-hmm.
The last song on Abandoned Language, I'm blanking on my own song titles, but the last song on Abandoned Language started at that session, like for the Roots, like, well, but it was like we that's the part that we created, and like they kind of like, I think it might have been like Questlove that was there, like he was there for a little bit, and then like a couple of other cats was there as well, but we were all kind of like, like it wasn't what they were looking for. But I'm happy that we were there because we got that song out of it, like for ourselves. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about Tarnished or about Subversive Script?
No, on Abandoned Language. I gotta look at it.
Yeah, that's the last 2, Tarnished or Subversive Script. But anyway, yeah, but it's interesting to see how again, even a collaboration that didn't work out gave you something to work with.
Right? Yeah, no, absolutely. 1 second. It's Subversive Script. Yeah, so Subversive Script, like the like the rough like core of it was from like
Mhm.
from that session. So like it's like again, like it's like even a collaboration that doesn't work out still, something comes out of it. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Your favorite krautrock band?
Oh, come on. Faust.
Apart from Faust, doesn't count.
Oh, apart from Faust. Oh, does Can count? Is that
Of course.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'll go
definitely.
with that. Yeah.
And now you can choose from two different genres, but I would like to hear what is either your go-to record when it comes to funk or disco right now. Which one would you put up if you had to put on a funk or a disco record right now?
Oh, Chic.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah. Honestly, anything with now anything Nile Rodgers produced, I
Okay.
would that to me is the sound of disco in my mind. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I love how he works. I love his guitar tone. Yeah, I mean even the stuff he did with Bowie, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it still has like the Nile Rodgers sound to it, which is amazing.
Definitely. Definitely.
But
Of course, I cannot escape myself. I have one versus question for you. And that came up because of a press kit for your new record. One of the FFOs that was dropped in the press kit was Sonic Youth, one of my all-time favorite bands. So if you could choose, with which Sonic Youth guitar player would you rather work with? Lee Ronaldo or Thurston Moore?
oh man, that's so unfair.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh man,
I mean, when it comes to looks, it will always be Kim Gordon. That's not a question, but she plays the bass.
granted. And actually her solo record, the current one, I was digging that too. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um man, we played Thurston Moore. He curated a festival in Europe that we played. So we got to chop it up with him. I've played shows with Lee Ronaldo as well. Amazing dude, amazing musician in his own right. Man, I'm gonna go with Thurston Moore just off of the conversations that we had because we talked a lot of hip hop, and his knowledge. Obviously, just coming up when he came up in New York, he grew up through a lot of that,
Yeah.
knows a lot of that, and I don't know. I think there could be something dope there. It would be great for me and him to collaborate because he's so fucking tall and I am so short in comparison. So it'd be hilarious if we
Yeah,
played
it
together.
would be like one of you is standing on the shoulders of giants, and I'm not gonna say who's who.
Well, nah, yeah, like he is easily, I'd say, a good 3 feet taller than me. I don't know if that's
Yeah, the
true.
guy is like immensely tall. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
That was my first reaction when we were talking backstage. I was like, God damn, you're tall.
hi.
And I'm short as fuck, so you know what I mean. Like it was.
Yeah.
I think just off of the visual hilarity of the group, me and him working together would be great just because of how tall he is and how short I am. I think that would be, regardless of what happens musically, I think just the visual of it would be great for people.
Yeah.
So the comedic value alone, I'm going with that.
Yeah, it might have a kind of novelty song character, but
Yes.
well, I hope to see you on European stages soon next year. And
Yeah,
for everybody, please listen to this record on Relapse. It is different. It's not a typically dälek record. It's not a typical Hayward record. It's a record on its own, and it does what it should do, and it does it perfectly. So, Will, thanks for joining.
thank you for having me, man.